Pennsylvania Republicans are kicking their block the vote plan in high gear. Over the weekend, the state's Republican governor rejected an urgent request from 6 civil groups to delay his restrictive new voter ID law, a law that requires everyone who wants to vote to show a government-issued photo ID. And now a Philadelphia paper reports that the governor has hired a Mitt Romney fundraiser to educate people about the law. His company's website included some jaw-dropping sample videos, including this one that paints a bright future of America's dark voting history, including the time when women couldn't vote.
Your right to vote. It's one thing you never want to miss out on. This year, the law requires that every Pennsylvania voter show a photo ID at the polls.
The video has since been pulled offline. What these ads don't say is the law could disenfranchise 758,000 voters in Pennsylvania. That's a much higher number than the state first reported, and is higher than President Obama's 2008 margin of victory over John McCain. The 2012 race between the president and Mitt Romney is even tighter, which means this voter ID law could make a big difference. And that's the point. A point a Pennsylvania Republican already admitted it.
Voter ID, which is going to allow Governor Romney to win the state of Pennsylvania. Done.
Joining me now is Jim Byrne, chairman of the Pennsylvania's Democratic Party. Thanks for your time tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, Reverend. Thank you for the opportunity.
Last week, the governor pledged to make sure all voters are aware of the new law. Do you trust a Romney fundraiser to get the word out?
No, I do not. We've known all along here in the Democratic Party that this was a sham. We've caught the Republicans, Governor Corbett and Mr. Terzai, in 3 lies so far. Number one, there's a voter fraud problem in Pennsylvania. When Governor Corbett was Attorney General, he prosecuted 0 cases of voter fraud.
How many?
0.
The present governor was the Attorney General, and when he was the Attorney General and could have dealt with so-called voting fraud, he did not prosecute any voter fraud cases.
That is absolutely correct, Reverend. That was lie number 1. Lie number 2, that this was not about politics. Well, Mr. Terzai, whose clip you just played, clearly established the real legislative intent behind this piece of legislation. And lie number 3, which you touched on, Reverend, was that initially the Secretary of the Commonwealth had said 1% maybe would be affected. No, sir. It's more like 758,000 Pennsylvanians could be affected by this illegal, which we believe illegal, voter ID law.
Now, let's ask the political question. Could this make the difference in terms of Mitt Romney winning Pennsylvania, beating the president, if these amounts of people are disenfranchised because of these photo ID laws?
Well, Reverend, we're not going to allow that to happen here in Pennsylvania. We're not going to go down that road. The Pennsylvania Democratic Party has always had a better field plan than our opponents on the other side. This year is no different, and especially with the stakes being so high, maybe never higher in our nation's history. We're out there right now. We're outreaching, we're identifying, and we're recruiting those who may be affected by this legislation. When we go to the doors like we do and we canvass every single presidential cycle, we make sure that our supporters and voters have what they need by way of issues for our candidates. This year, we're adding another box. That is, do you have the proper identification in order to vote? And if you do not, we will make sure that you have it.
Now, it's very important that you said proper identification, because, as you know, I've been involved in trying to bring this issue out around the country. And people need to understand, you, me, no one is talking about people not having ID. We're saying these new ID requirements. Let's have the same ID we always had when we voted for Bush or Reagan or Clinton. We want the same ID. Why do we need new ID if there's been no fraud, Jim?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, Reverend, and that's why there's a lawsuit that's filed. The court will hear it on July the 25th. As a practicing attorney here in Pennsylvania, I've looked at the merits. I think there are merits to this. But, sir, you know, having said that, I like the arguments that are being made. But having said that, we need to move forward as if this bill will be on the ground in November.
Thank you so much, Jim Byrne. Thank you for being here. And I am on a national tour to get out the word, no matter who you vote for, that we've got to have the right ID. I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia tomorrow. You can go to National Action website and get all the information. Thank you. We'll be right back.